Hello and welcome to the Hurry Up Pinball Podcast. Today is January 12th, 2025, and this is episode 3. You'll notice today that I do not have any guests with me today. We're working on getting some more folks in here. I've had bronchitis for the past week or so and just starting to get better now. So I didn't want to schedule anything or any guests in here until I felt a little better, but I'm feeling better now, so we'll get some new guests in here pretty soon. But today, it's just going to be me. If you look over here on the right-hand side, I'm going to go ahead and throw up a topics list. I figure we'll get into a little bit of the topics. I always like to do a little preview of what we're going to talk about. So today, just a quick rundown. We're going to talk about, I have a new game coming I'm pretty excited about. Should be here within the next week or two. I'm going to talk about 3 new videos that I put up on my YouTube channel. Labyrinth streams. I've been streaming Labyrinth on a regular basis here. I think I'm 2 streams in, but I've been playing a ton of Labyrinth. Making a lot of little different tweaks here and there to that game. So we'll talk about that a little bit. What else do we have? Pinball prices. Always a fun one to talk about. These are all things that I talk about with a lot of my friends that play pinball consistently. We talk about strategies, ideas, buying games, price ranges, all that kind of stuff. So I'll give you a little preview into what a normal discussion with us when it comes to that kind of stuff is like. Just some things to consider if you're looking at picking up a new game, because I'm always looking for games, and at the right price, there's lots of games that I wouldn't normally buy, but at the right price, I'd give them a whirl. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Harry Potter, we'll talk about Harry Potter just a little bit. Not a whole lot is known. It's rumored that it's going to be released in 2025. Jersey Jack even put up that post with the picture. It says, all your dreams do come true. So looks like we're going to get a Harry Potter in 2025. And how will that affect prices? I have some theories on that. And then Pulp Fiction LEs are starting to ship. And then we'll talk a little bit about CGC production timelines. There's been a lot of buzz online about timelines for the LE games in particular getting out. So with that, let's just jump right in. As far as the new games coming, the new game I have coming is a Pulp Fiction LE. I did place an order for the Pulp Fiction right around TPF in 2023. So we are getting very close to 2 years since I actually put down the money. It was $1,000 deposit on the game, with the balance being due right before it ships. So I have paid for the game, just waiting for it to arrive. And again, we'll talk about that here in a little bit, but just as a little preview. So you'll get a chance to see that game. It is the Bad Mother Flipper edition, which I'm pretty excited about. I've played the game a little bit. I've intentionally gone almost 2 years not playing the game because I want to experience it in a home setting. I don't want to start getting through a whole lot of stuff and then get it home. I want to experience it for the first time. So for that reason, I've intentionally not played the game when I've seen it out on location. I've played a very small handful of games on it at TPF. Really looking forward to it. I love the vibe of the game, the feel of it. It's nice. It's something I knew that I wanted to have. I haven't, I've been buying more used games than new and box games lately, but this one I'm really looking forward to. So hopefully I can share that with you guys on stream. We'll definitely get some episodes on it. And truth be told, it's going to be in adult mode, and there's a lot of great content in there. There's a lot of rough comments in there too. So we're going to play it the way it sits, so you can experience the full game and kind of see what it's like and see if it's something, maybe at some point you want to pick up for your collection. So Pulp Fiction is coming. 3 new YouTube videos. So this past weekend, I spent a whole lot of time shooting footage and we're actually working on some mods. So as far as the new videos I put up, I did an installation video for Pinwolfer's PowerWave J amplifier. It's for JJP systems, so it's a really easy install. So that video is put up. I think it's about a 7-minute install video, which is pretty short for putting in an amp system. So be sure to check that out on my Hurry Up Pinball channel on YouTube. So that video went up. Just posted that actually today, so it's getting some views and just letting people know what the options are as far as the sound improvements. I installed it on my Toy Story 4. Toy Story, they say 4. Everybody knows Toy Story's 4, but I installed it on the Toy Story 4, and what I really like about it is it brings out a lot of the sounds you don't normally hear, or the sounds that are really thin. So you can dial in the bass, you can dial in the back box speakers versus the cabinet speakers. You can kind of separate everything out and get those sounds that, some of them you didn't even know were there. I had a pinwoofer system that I put in my Elvira years ago, and man, it was the same thing. So I'm really, really happy with it. It sounds really good, and I'm really enjoying that. So, and if you have any interest in checking it out, the video that I put up online on how to install it also has a link to the item, so you can go check it out and check out pricing and those other sorts of things. So I put up that video. I also, because I've been playing a whole lot of Labyrinth right back here, I apologize with the way the room is. I can't get the topper in there and get my head in the picture at the same time. Maybe it'd be better to stare at the goblins. I don't know. But it is directly behind me. I've been playing it a lot. I'm probably about 70 to 80 games into Labyrinth. I've been going at that game pretty hard, just trying to learn it, make some tweaks, and get it. It's one of those games where you got to do a little bit of tweaking to it to find the right balance between pitch, some of the power settings in the menu, things all the way down to like the rubbers you're using on the flippers, because I'm noticing a big difference jumping between the two. When Matt loaned me that game, he actually he left the precision flippers in there. So some people are saying, hey, they love them on there. Matt went back to the original flippers after that. So there's a lot of little tweaks I've been doing on it just to find that right balance. There's some great content in that game. It's really well done, and I think it's a great first game for a new pinball company. I'm really surprised with it. And again, it's like anything else. There's going to be some little tweaks here and there that you got to make. So with that in mind, one of the things I did, I noticed there was issues with the ball kicking out of the trough and the ball stacking properly in the trough. So whether it's an issue with the balls getting a little magnetized, because there are some magnets in that game, or the shallow trough in the game, I did notice that the plunger height for the trough was a little bit high. So when the balls were rolling down, it would actually get stuck behind the plunger. And just a little nudge would kind of get it over that point. So I adjusted the height of the plunger on Labyrinth, and it was very, very easy. It's just 4 screws. So I put together a tutorial. I put that up on my channel as well. So if you own one of those games and you're having issues with the trough, kicking out balls, there's a tutorial now, so you can go and watch that and see how I adjusted mine. I did notice there was another issue that was going on with the trough too. And again, I don't know if it's the trough angle or if it has to do with pinballs being magnetized a little bit, but I noticed some of the balls weren't rolling all the way down. So for my third video, I actually created a mod out of TPU that is easy. It takes about half a second to slide into position in the trough. But what it does is it helps the pinballs feed down a little bit quicker down into the trough, so they all line up nice and neat. So when the plunger kicks a ball out, the next one rolls right into position. So check that out. That video is up on YouTube as well. And if you check the description, there's a link to my Pinside shop where you can buy it. I've got it up right now. It's $20 for the 3D printed part. Super easy to install. No tools required. You just open the coin door, slide it in, close the coin door. Doesn't get any easier than that. But I did make a video for it just so you can see what that process looks like. So that video is up as well. That item's available in my Pinside shop. So those are the 3 new videos I did this weekend. I shot all the footage starting Friday evening and really kind of cranked through a lot of pinball stuff. And I've been printing a bunch of the Labyrinth mods just to have a little inventory on hand. So sold a few of those already, which is nice. And again, it all goes back into pinball, whether I'm buying new games or camera gear or anything. So I do appreciate the support. Still selling a lot of mods for the Godzilla roof mod stuff. And the Shield mods and some of the other games. I actually stole a Stranger Things camera today as well. I've got a few of those left. Probably not going to run any more of those, but if you have a Stranger Things and you're looking for that camera, just check Hurry Up Pinball on Pinside, or you can always message me at hurryuppinball@gmail.com if you're interested in getting one. So those videos are all posted on my YouTube channel. They're up to watch. And a note about the YouTube stuff. I was talking to my sister after we put up the first podcast episode, and she did mention to me that it seemed like there was a lot of commercials. So what I did, I usually had one at the beginning and at the end, and I did the mid-roll ads thinking, hey, maybe every 10 minutes it'll kind of work something in. And she said there was a lot of them. And I actually went back and looked, and it determines natural break points, and it was putting in a break like every 3 minutes. So that absolutely doesn't work for me. I wouldn't want to watch something broken up that much. So I went ahead and I just turned off all mid-roll ads. So there's an ad at the beginning, an ad at the end. Again, anything that comes out of that just goes back into pinball. So So hopefully some of these podcasts will be, there won't be as much interruption for them. When I do these solo podcasts too, I'm going to try and keep it to about 20-25 minutes overall. So that, it's a little more easily digestible. When we have guests, we kind of go off on topics, and I love that part of the pinball discussions, but sometimes you can get some long podcasts out of that. So these ones I do by myself, they'll be pretty short. So going forward, I'm going to work in some of these. I was going to have my sister on the podcast. She's been playing for about 3 or 4 years. I've loaned her some games. She really enjoys it. I was going to have her on the podcast over the holidays, but I got bronchitis and I couldn't talk, so I had to scrap that. But she'll be back. I was actually talking to my friend Carolyn today. My wife played in a tournament at the Basement Arcade Bar in Concord. It was a Bells and Chimes tournament, so I saw a bunch of friends, hung out, played some games today, played some Scooby-Doo, some Jaws, a little Lord of the Rings. Had a good time, but I was talking to Carolyn, and she was super excited about the podcast, so we're going to try and get Carolyn on here as well. And they can talk about their experience getting into pinball and kind of what they're playing and what they like. So let's see, what do we got next? Pinball prices. So this is a topic I'm hearing a lot more discussion around pinball prices and things. And when I got into the hobby, I think the Stern Pros were right around 6,100. Actually, they were just under. They were $57.99. I remember that because I was looking at buying a Walking Dead new in box, and it was $57.99. And I think we're at the point now where the MSRP I think is $69.99. It's either $67.99 or $69.99 for the Pro. The Premium and LEs are typically $97.99, and then the LEs I think are right at $13,000. So those prices have gotten a little bit, have gone up. Not a little bit. They've gone up a lot actually. And then the JJP prices from the time I got into the hobby to now. I mean, we're looking at the cheapest game from JJP is going to be $12,500 for an LE, which automatically kind of puts me in that range where I get a little uncomfortable. It better be a dream theme and it's something that I want, and I know it's going to be difficult to get. I mean, at some point you look at it and you start thinking, hey, that's a year of college for a kid somewhere. That you could buy somebody a car for that kind of money. So, when you start getting into those price ranges, it's got to be something special. For me, that $10,000 mark really is I really have to consider, do I want to spend more than that? And again, I'm fortunate enough to have put money into this, into pinballs over the last 8 or 9 years. And I'm still driving a 12-year-old car. So I've skipped car payments. I know a lot of folks end up getting, new cars every 5 or 6 years. But for me, I've kind of skipped that, and I've done what I can to kind of throw some money into pinball whenever I had a chance. So now I'm at the point, typically, if something comes in, something's got to go. Pulp Fiction, I'd actually been saving the money from making mods for a very long time and had that money sitting aside. But I think within the span of a month, I picked up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at the auction. I got a great deal on that. I got a great deal on The Walking Dead that I absolutely couldn't pass up. And then Pulp Fiction was ready. So I actually had 3 games come in December. Actually, Pulp Fiction will be here soon. So technically it's December and January. But it's tough when you start talking about these prices. Now, my attitude lately with prices, unless it's a dream theme for me and something that I absolutely have to have, and I'm not willing to wait, I've been kind of holding off. I mean, I want to spend time playing John Wick, but I don't want to spend full retail price for a John Wick. And same thing with X-Men. I had a Foo Fighters. I enjoyed it. I want to spend some time on X-Men. And kind of the same thing. I don't necessarily want to go buy one new in box right now. But it's more of a combination of, especially with Wick, like I want to see the code mature a little bit more, to see kind of where it's going. I took a risk on James Bond, and I was lucky enough that when I bought James Bond, 4 days after I bought it, they put in the code that allowed stacking. So a lot of the people waited a long time to get that code update and were pretty frustrated. I only had to deal with it for about 4 days, and the code just got better and better. And I think the code in now is fantastic, and I loved it when I had it. Excuse me, when I had it. I loved that game. So, I'm okay a little bit to wait on some of these games, where if it's not a dream theme or something I absolutely want, to wait a little while and possibly pick one up new. Sometimes you can trade out of stuff too. We talk about that all the time. Hey, it's nice to have a game that's kind of we refer to it as the floater game. So you have a game that you can, bring in, play for a little while and move on. And I tell people all the time, you're not stuck with these games. If you overpay for a game and you start taking hits on them, like that, it can get pretty painful. I've had a couple games where they've dropped significantly in value, and luckily I was able to trade into something else that I really wanted. So, as long as you're enjoying the game and you like it, it's not an issue. But there's games that have dropped in value, but I love them and they're not going anywhere. So with that, I've been pretty content to wait on new releases. I will say, there's a couple themes out there. I want a new Nightmare on Elm Street pin so bad, and if somebody comes out with that and it's a well-known manufacturer that comes out with that, I'll jump on that and I'll probably pick one up new just because it's a theme I've always wanted. I would love to see them redo that. If they redid South Park and came out with a new South Park, there's so much great content. I would be all over that as well. And I would buy that new just because I know it's something that I'm going to mesh with. But I think part of it too, the FOMO for me, after COVID, the FOMO really kind of wore off. And I'd love to get some time on D&D. That's another game that looks great. I love the level up system in Venom, and I want to get some time playing that. But again, I think those are coming out in February. The pros, I think, are going to start coming out in February. But I know I'll get a chance to play some of these games. I just saw a John Wick Pro the other day for $52.50 oboe. I think it was up in Pennsylvania. So I'm like, that's a great deal to get into that game. And you know what? If you play it and you don't mesh with it, or you want to move it on, the losses will be pretty minimal in that kind of situation if you find you don't enjoy it. There's a lot of people that tried to talk me out of getting a Bond, and I got that Bond, and I had a great experience with Bond. So you never really know. Honestly, the best thing you can do is go out and play these games. I was nice enough to have Matt loan me that Labyrinth back there. And it's a game, I think, with all the bells and whistles on it. You're talking like $12,000, $12,500. So as far as that game goes, it's not a game I would buy, but I'm fortunate enough that he loaned it to me so that I could play it and experience it, which was great, and I really appreciate that. Knows I'm talking about. He's back there telling me to plunge the ball. But yeah, it's great to experience these games and play them. And if there's a game out there that you like, even if it's not popular, if you really like it, do some research on it, watch some videos on it. And if you want to go get it and play it. I've had some that I got in here and I absolutely didn't like them, and I moved them on, and it was okay. The problem comes up with pinball prices where you overpay for the games. There's a lot of games right now, unfortunately, with JJP that seem to have been taking, several $1,000 hits, and I know there's some folks that aren't concerned about that. They're going to go and get what they want, and that's fine. I'm just not one of those folks. I'm always weighing pros and cons of everything. So if you're willing to be a little patient on some of the stuff, like I'd love to have a Texas Chainsaw Massacre for a little while. I'd like to play through the code. I'd like to check it out. I'd like to stream it. That's part of why I have my streaming channel is when I first got into this, Zach was doing the straight down the middle pinball shows. So I would watch episodes on games I was thinking about buying, and that really got me motivated to play some more games. And then as time went on, when I started streaming, I had people message me about games and asking me questions. So again, if I've had close to about 50 games over the last, I think I bought my first pinball machine in 2016. So what is that? Yeah, my brain's foggy right now. 9 years. So I've been in the hobby about 9 years. So I've had close to 50 games during that time, in and out. And some I've lost money on, some I've made money on, but it all just rolls back into pinball. So as long as you're, if you're in a position where it's not going to cause any issues, I joke all the time. It's a savings account that you can have fun with. Now a financial planner would probably skewer me for that. And I'm sure there's lots more ways to make money, but I look at these as a relatively safe place to put a little bit of money and enjoy it while it's sitting there. So pinball prices, these days, on the new and box stuff, it can be up there, but for the right game, I'd be willing to spend new and box money. But you never know. So don't ever feel like you're never going to have a chance to buy a game. One of the things I've noticed, and Ben's going to tease me again and say I'm an Elwin junkie, but Elwin's game seems to hold value a little bit better than some of the other games. So Jurassic Park Pro, your Iron Maidens, your Jaws, even Avengers, which I would say out of all of them was probably the least popular out of all the Elwin releases that are out there. Even that one's still, even a premium, you can get a used premium in the $7,200 range. Whereas, look at games like Jaws and Jurassic Park. I mean, the prices are coming down a little bit on the used market, but they're still holding pretty strong. So for those games, I kind of lump it into a little bit different category. It's like, do I like the theme? Do I want to play it? And I don't worry so much about it. Now, there's some other games out there where, I don't want to spend $10,000 to get a game and then, not enjoy it and find myself in a position where I can't sell it for $7. That's a little bit of a hit. I mean, that's half of a Stern Pro on the used market. So I kind of compare it, a game like Labyrinth, if you watch the market, you can pick up 2 Stern Pros roughly for the cost of a used Labyrinth these days. So, there's some choices out there on it, but again, Labyrinth is a fantastic game. It's got some great stuff on it. This one sitting back here is absolutely beautiful. It's fun, and again, if you want to check it out, check out those streams on my YouTube channel. I've got 2 up right now. I'll probably stream it 1 or 2 more times before Matt puts it up for sale. But yeah, so, pinball prices, just, do some research, check out Pinside. I've been seeing some weird stuff too. I saw I saw Metallica Pro, and I think both games had been routed. It was a Metallica Pro for like $5,200. It was the old one. And then the same seller, I think, had a Super Mario Brothers at $59. And I was just like, what is happening? So I've seen a lot of people starting to unload games. So the other thing too to keep in mind when it comes to pinball prices, which kind of segues into our next topic, Harry Potter. When you have a game that's highly anticipated like Harry Potter is, you're going to start to see folks unloading some games. And as more and more people start to unload those games, the prices start to drop. They put up a game, they might put up a Avengers for $7,200, and then another person might list their Avengers and put it up at 71. So you kind of see this trend going down a little bit when these popular games come out in terms of prices on used stuff. So you'll see folks going, hey, I've wanted a Harry Potter for 3 years. It looked like it's going to happen. I'm going to start to sell some of these games. And as more and more people do that, it kind of drives the prices on those used games on Pinside down. So, sometimes when these big releases come out, it ends up being a good time to pick up some other games too. So I'm not in that position now, but I try to keep a little money set aside so that if a deal comes up or something's going on in the market and I can pick up a game really cheap, I will. I got a fantastic deal on The Walking Dead over here, over here. It's backwards. Right here. Yeah, I got a fantastic deal on that to the point where I don't even know if I'll ever get rid of it, just because it was a great deal and I really, really enjoy the game. And honestly, I waited like a year to find one. And then I finally found it in the price range that I wanted, and I got it. So sometimes you just got to be you got to be a little patient. But yeah, so Harry Potter, I have a lot of friends who are anxiously awaiting any news or information about that. I do suspect that they're only going to have the LE and the CE versions. I think the CEs are going to disappear in a heartbeat on that game. I do think the LEs are definitely going to sell if they keep prices the same. It'll be interesting to see what they do too with Avatar, because Avatar hasn't actually been out that long, and I still think that they have a lot of avatars. They have a lot of avatars available still. I could be wrong about that, but I have not seen any on location yet either. And with the announcement of Harry Potter coming potentially in 2025, I could see a situation where folks who are thinking about maybe getting an Avatar are going to realign their money with Harry Potter. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And who knows, you might end up in a situation where, somebody maybe looks over Avatar a little bit, similar to like they did with Pirates, and they kind of move on to the next game, and the next thing you know, there's not a whole lot of avatars out there. So you never know. That's the game you play, but I think with Harry Potter, those games are going to sell really well. And I think probably from the Stern perspective, if Keith Elwin is actually doing King Kong, I would expect something around kind of the same time. Because again, Harry Potter is a juggernaut. It's going to sell really well. but the game is really expensive. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens around that time, and to see what happens with prices in the market when Harry Potter is actually reality and we find out what Elwyn's next game is going to be. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to used pinball prices, and it's probably going to be a good time to pick up some used stuff if you have your eye on anything. Again, these are all just my theories and opinions, so take them for what they're worth. And again, go out and play the games you like. Don't worry about the top 100 list on Pinside. My one rule is just, don't overpay. Don't overpay for a game, unless it's a dream theme and you want it, and it doesn't matter. I know Matt loves Rush. He bought a Rush LE. He bought the topper. He bought he got all the bells and whistles for it. And he loves it. And, he's gotten to 2112 multiple times. He loves the game. And again, it's his dream theme. So I'd never give him crap for spending that kind of money on Rush, because he likes it. It's what he wants. And, so I certainly understand that. So as you go through these games, buy what you want, but just do your research, check Pinside, check out some streams on the games, because when you start spending upwards of $10,000 on a game, you want to make sure you get something that you enjoy, and if not, that you're able to move it on and not take much of a loss, if at all possible. So Pulp Fiction LEs, we're rolling up on 26 minutes. I told myself I was going to keep this, under 30 minutes. I'm going to try and do that just so it's a little easier to digest. Pulp Fiction LEs are shipping. I got my notice recently that mine's on the way, or getting ready to be on the way in the next couple days. So they are shipping. I've seen a lot of information on like Facebook and people talking on Pinside about production times at CGC. So here's the thing that I've always known with CGC is when you get an LE version of their game, it usually takes a while. So like I said, I ordered my game right before I went to TPF. I was lucky enough. I kind of sat on it. And I was like, it looks cool, whatever. I watched the trailer and I really got excited about it. So the day, like a couple days after they had announced them, I was lucky enough, Zach at Flipping Out, hooked me up and was able to get me one. I put down the deposit of $1,000, and, here we are 2 years later. So a lot of people say, oh, that's ridiculous. That's crazy. Now, one of the things that I want to mention that is when it comes to timelines and CGC, I knew it was going to be a long time. So mentally I had prepared myself that like, hey, I need to work towards getting some money for this game, save some money. But I knew it would be a while. I knew it was going to be a while before the LEs were available. So in that time, I put money into some other games and moved probably 4 or 5 games out while I was waiting for Pulp Fiction, knowing that, hey, when I get that call, I'm going to have to move something. And luckily it went on for a while. So I was able to, set the money aside and have the money available, when I knew it was getting close. You start paying attention and looking and see what they're saying for CGC. But the cons are, hey, you're going to wait a while for the game, right? I'm anxious to see the topper, and the embellishments on the game. I'm looking forward to seeing all that kind of stuff. And I like the theme. I like the gameplay on it. I like the audio. It's just a really unique machine. So I was okay waiting on it. And honestly, it gave me a chance to get some other games in and out and play those before Pulp Fiction showed up. So, for me, that situation, I'm okay with waiting on it. One of the pros for that is, they're building the SEs and they're dialing in their build process. So if there are some bugs or some issues in the, when they're mass producing these games, it gives them a chance to work some of that stuff out. I think Matt and I were talking about it, and he said some of the early Pulp Fictions didn't have Mylar in certain areas. And as time went on, they realized that they need to put some Mylar down. So I believe the playfield has some Mylar in some areas where the early production games don't. So I suspect the Pulp Fiction LE, they're going to dial in a lot of that stuff, whereas some manufacturers build the LEs first and they go out, and then if they have issues, you have an LE, you have in some instances a $13,000 game, or a JJP, a $15,000 CE, and then you start running into issues. So when I get them, I want to enjoy the game. I want to play it. And again, really the biggest thing that came out of this was that game actually taught me to be a little patient, which was good. I sat on some pinball money for about 6-7 months, and then all of a sudden, Ninja Turtles and Walking Dead all came up with in about a 2-week time span. So, I was okay. I was actually kind of glad. I knew in the back of my head that it was going to be available at some point. But I didn't let that stop me from getting some other games, just knowing that I might have to move something in a hurry, and just putting myself in a position to be able to do that. So, Medieval Madness remakes, I would love to get a Medieval Madness. It's one of the games I haven't had. I've had an Attack from Mars. But Medieval Madness is one of those games I would like to have one, and I think it would definitely stick around. I love the theme. It's fun. It's goofy. But that list to get those is insane. And the backlog right now, I mean, you go on Pinside, there's 1 or 2 for sale in the entire country. People are not unloading those games. So something like that, if it was announced, would I spend $10,000 on it? Probably, knowing that I'm going to have to at least get rid of 1 pin and start saving some money. I would do that. But that's a game that they've built in several different runs. So when it comes to that game, they've pretty much got it dialed in. So I don't see any issues with production times on that. It's just once they change the line over and start making those, they'll start showing up. But I know that list is super deep, and I don't think my name's on it. So that might be something I might have to wait a while and just see. Maybe with a CGC rerunning and making a lot of those, the prices will start coming down, and you might be able to pick up one used. So again, it all comes back to prices, right? How soon do you want it, and how comfortable are you paying what you're paying? And again, there's a handful of games I would go in and buy new in box on some themes I really like, and I'd take the risk on them. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead, and we are at 31 minutes, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the episode here. Again, be sure to check out my Twitch channel. It's twitch.tv/HurryUpPinball. I've been trying to stream 2 to 3 times a week. Go on YouTube, check Hurry Up Pinball. You'll see I've got a ton of old episodes up there. I'm putting up more of my old stuff as well. So for those streams, there's lots of games there if you want to check out the gameplay. I'll tell you the good and the bad on those games. You can always email me at hurryuppinball@gmail.com. And for anything we discussed today, if there's anything you'd like to see on episodes or any discussions that you'd like us to get into, certainly email me at hurryuppinball@gmail.com, and we'll work those into some future episodes. We're going to get a couple more guests in here. I'm hoping to get my sister Lisa in here. She's been on stream a couple times. She's a riot. She's always saying goofy stuff, and she brings out the little kid in me, so we tease each other all the time, which is always fun. So I'll get her on the stream. We're going to work on getting Troy, see if we can get Lance in here, and I'm still working on the video feed stuff, so we'll get Izzy Pinball in here, and hopefully we'll get Saran in here too, and we can get some different perspectives on pinball and what people like and what they don't like. So with that, I want to say thank you for all the support, and I say it every time before the end of a show, and I'm going to say it again: stay safe, play more pinball.